and thank you, Director Kraninger, for joining us here today. As you know, the CFPB was created to protect consumers from unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices in the financial marketplace. But I'm troubled by many of the anti-consumer actions taken by the CFPB under your leadership and that of your predecessor, Mick Mulvaney, someone who called the CFPB a sick, sad joke and sponsored legislation to dissolve the very agency he later headed. And it's troubling to me because I'm no longer confident the CFPB will fulfill its mission. Now, Director, in your written remarks, you make a report about the 9 items that you are statutorily mandated to report to us semi-annually about. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and the first of those items is significant problems faced by consumers in shopping for or obtaining consumer financial products or services. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And the first item that you mention are credit products marketed to non-prime borrowers, correct?
I think that might be the spring one. There are 2 reports here, and both predate me, so I apologize, but I'm probably a little more familiar with the fall points, but
Well,
I will address
that's generally one of the top things
Yes.
that appears in that section,
Yes.
right? Okay. And would you agree that payday loans and car title loans are lending instruments that are marketed to subprime borrowers?
I believe that it is important to ensure that we do have access to credit. That's why we're looking at
No,
this
but would
issue
you
again.
agree, the question was, do you agree that those are lending, those are loans that are marketed to subprime borrowers?
I do believe that it is available to a wide variety of consumers, but I think there probably have been studies to that point.
So I'm from Virginia, and we instituted very strict consumer protection rules on payday lenders at the state level. But I appreciate your remarks about whack-a-mole in your remarks here today, because what we've seen is that although we don't have payday lenders really anymore, we have a lot of car title lenders who have popped up. These storefronts have popped up in low-income areas, or especially near our military bases. You know, we've got Marine Base Quantico, Norfolk Naval Base, and a number of others here in Virginia. So they are not required at this time to determine ability to repay. Is that correct? In making those loans?
I won't stipulate exactly what every single company decides to do with respect to its underwriting and with state laws.
The question was,
that are in
they're not
place. There are a
required
number of
to
things.
by the CFPB. That the rule that would require that assessment has not gone into effect. Is that correct?
It was set to go in effect or is set in August, except that it stayed by the courts. So yes, there is not a federal requirement on them on that point.
Okay. Now, would it surprise you to hear that despite the fact that these are marketed as short-term loans, in Virginia in 2015, the average duration of such a loan was 354 days, or just short of a year? Would that surprise you?
There are a lot of studies that have been done on this in terms of what happens in different states. So
Right, but
not
this
familiar with
is
that particular study.
well. These are. I'll tell you. I'm using statistics from the Virginia State Corporation Commission, so
Understood.
it's not a study. It's statistics from the state itself. Okay. Would it surprise you to hear that the average APR for these loans in 2015 in Virginia was 221%? Does that surprise you?
Again, you're listing statistics I haven't seen. I stipulate that they're accurate.
But would it surprise you that these loans that are marketed to people who, by definition, have more trouble repaying them than wealthy folks or than people who don't have to put their car on the block for it? Does it surprise you to hear that the average APR is 221%?
I understand what you're getting at in terms of looking at this industry in general, the reconsideration of the rule and the.
I'm sorry, we're running out of time. If you
Okay.
don't want to give me a yes or a no, I'll just reclaim my time. Was it surprise you to know that more than 38% of these borrowers went into arrears by 60 days or more and incurred additional fees and penalties? Does that surprise you, yes or no?
Again, I know what you're getting at, and in terms of these
Thank you.
specific-
Reclaiming my time. Would it surprise you to know that more than 15% of these people had their cars repossessed in 1 year?
Again, I will stipulate that you're listing statistics from the site that you said in terms
Okay.
of what happens in Virginia.
Thank you very much. Given statistics like those, it surprises me that you want to rescind this rule that protects these people. And with that, I yield back.